The Long Island Railroad has always been known for having a unique fleet of rolling stock which can only be found in passenger service in the New York region. Throughout the railroad's almost 200-year-long history, this power ranged from electric DD1s and diesel box cabs to Alco MPCUs and EMD freight locomotives. One of the many locomotives in this roster includes a recent EMD passenger-exclusive diesel which has a dual-mode variant. To add to the railroad's history, one of these locomotives in this class became an unofficial heritage unit with stickers on its front, commemorating the extensive past of the railroad. Even if the locomotive no longer has its heritage stickers and is part of an unreliable class, LIRR 404 still manages to stand out in the fleet with its blank front and popularity among Long Island Railfans. If there's one thing that LIRR commuters are familiar with, it's the change to Jamaica. This was so throughout most of the LIRR's history, as passengers had to transfer from diesel-hauled trains to electric in order to enter the East River tunnels to go to Penn Station, since diesels are not allowed in the tunnels. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, passengers on the diesel-hauled routes, specifically the Port Jefferson branch, were interested in a one-seat ride to Penn Station without the change to Jamaica. To solve this problem while increasing capacity on the branch line, the LIRR purchased 10 experimental C1 double-decker cars and paired them with 3 Metro North's dual-mode FL9s, thus allowing access from diesel territory into Penn. Since this concept was successful, the LIRR decided to look into locomotives and railcars which could fulfill this service and replace the GP38s and MP15s with older HEP-equipped Alco FA and EMDF unit MPCUs. Specifically, the LIRR wanted a dual-mode locomotive with the same acceleration and braking capacity as the electric M3s to guarantee direct service from Port Jefferson and other diesel branches of the railroad to Manhattan. Meanwhile, Metro North, the sister railroad of the LIRR owned by the MTA, recently purchased a dual-mode variant of the GE Genesis, the P32DC, for similar purposes for access to Grand Central Terminal, but since the last few locomotives which the LIRR purchased were from EMD, they wanted to show their loyalty to EMD by purchasing a custom-designed passenger locomotive. In addition to dual-mode locomotives, the railroad also purchased identical diesel-powered variants of this class for use on shorter branch line shuttle runs, where a conversion to the third rail was not necessary. EMD classified the dual-mode locomotives the DM30AC and the diesel-exclusive locomotives as the DE30AC, with DE standing for diesel-electric, 30 standing for 3,000 horsepower, and AC standing for AC-powered traction motors. A total of 46 of these locomotives were produced starting in late 1997, as the DMs were numbered 500 to 522, while the DEs were numbered 400 to 422, with 404, the locomotive to be focused on, being one of the first locomotives built towards the beginning of 1998. The future looked promising in 1999 as the world was ready to welcome a new millennium, and the DEs and DMs entered service in that year with the bi-level C3 railcars, custom designed to work only with the EMD, DE, and DMs. However, these promises were soon dashed as various mechanical issues became present with the diesel fleet of the LIRR, such as cracks in the engine frames and skids due to the locomotive's heavy weight. This caused the LIRR to send out their DE and DM30AC fleet to the EMD Altoona shops from 2001 to 2002, where these issues were to be fixed. Other than modifications from EMD, the DE and DM30ACs would also go through many other changes in a matter of a few years, as their horns were moved to the front of the cab, and they gained numbers on the front and a sticker which says "We serve with pride." Despite these early modifications, the DEs and DMs continued to break down frequently with low shop visit mileage, and were considered by crew members and railfans as unreliable. Nevertheless, everything would continue to operate normally on Long Island Road with little change in rolling stock, other than the diesel fleet being repaired for recurring minor problems. However, this would change around October of 2018, when LIRR 404 would have 2 Meatball logos placed on its front, representing the road's logo during the 1970s and 80s, the same decades when the locomotives 404 and its class were placed thrive on the LIRR, and would therefore make the locomotive a heritage unit, or sticker unit, according to many Long Island Railfans. To this day, it is unknown exactly when or why these stickers were added on the front of 404, as this was not an official move from the LIRR, but 2 more engines followed the Meatball heritage style, as about a month later, engines 416 and 420 had one MTA Meatball sticker placed on their left side of the nose. 420 had its Meatball logo removed about a month after it was placed on, while 416 still has its MTA logo as of when this video was made. Interestingly enough, 404 would mysteriously lose its right Meatball logo around late April 2019, while its left Meatball logo still remained. Then around July 2019, 404 was taken out of service for a 90-day maintenance leave and returned to service on September 16, 2019, leading an afternoon rush hour train from Long Island City to Patchogue. However, the front was completely repainted with a fresh coat of blue and yellow paint in a slightly different shade than the rest of the locomotive, and not only was the last remaining M missing on the front, but it was also missing its current MTA logo, its numbers, and the "We Serve with Pride" slogan, essentially giving 404 a blank front, nearly identical to when it was first built. Over time, the locomotive regained these features, starting with the slogan and then its numbers, but it never regained the current MTA logo. Despite this, 404 continues to run the diesel branch lines of Long Island as one of many members of the railroad's unique diesel fleet, while briefly paying tribute to a notable decade in the railroad's history as an unofficial heritage unit. Thank you all for watching this episode of Remarkable Engines and 404s of the World. With the review of this locomotive, I am also starting another spin-off to Remarkable Engines called 404s of the World, where on the 4th day of the month, I provide a brief history of a locomotive numbered 404 on a railroad's all-time roster, hopefully in 4 minutes and 4 seconds. I decided to cover this locomotive as it's my favorite DE30AC, since I saw it often for years and it became an unofficial heritage unit. This channel's formation is even based on this locomotive, as it was created on April 4th, or 4/04, as a tribute to LIRR 404. This locomotive has played a large role in my life, and it would only be right to review this locomotive for the channel's 1-year anniversary. Thank you again for watching. Credit for the video footage used goes to these Railfanners, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Have a good day.